Russ, can you just elaborate a little bit on the short-term and long-term plans for the resort?
Certainly. Well, the short-term plan is to finish the redevelopment. When we came here about a year ago, we had our expectations, but this has been a very challenging environment for us to work in. Shortly after we came here, the lake literally caught on fire. We had one of the worst rainy seasons in quite some time up here, at least as far back as many people here can remember. For us, the goal is to get open as quickly as possible. But we've made some tremendous progress over the last year as well. The long term is, we never come up here to say, hey, listen, let's go to Lake County and make a whole bunch of money. This was always a long-term proposition. Children of the ownership, grandchildren of the ownership, they see this staying in the family for many, many years to come. So this isn't, hey, let's get in and let's get out. We're basically here for the long haul. Again, we see tremendous potential in Lake County and would like to be part of that growth. Our feeling is that we can make a contribution towards that. A commitment was made early on to use local resources, use local manpower and labor whenever and wherever possible, and we've stayed pretty true to that. We've made contributions economically already. We feel millions of dollars have been spent in materials and labor. Our labor workforce is primarily local. I would say 99% comes from the Greater Lake area here. But it really does take everybody working together in unison to bring a project this big together. There's an enormous permit process. There are many things at the resort here that really need to be updated. So many things weren't grandfathered in once we transferred ownership. So we had to work with the county very closely to make sure that we're compliant with local building codes, with local safety codes, and they've been great. It's really been a pleasure working with them, as well as the vendors, local store owners. They've all pretty much embraced the project, embraced us at the same time, and it's a process that's working very well so far. This is sort of a passion project. There wasn't any 2 or 3 specific things that said, hey, let's go. We were familiar with the lake. We love the area. We were familiar with this project and the fact that it was for sale. We watched the different incarnation of potential purchases. And for us, it was just really kind of a timing thing. It was the right project at the right place at the right time, someplace that we really enjoy, and we just saw an enormous amount of potential here.
What infrastructure or ideas do you think are most important to support economic development?
Well, I'm sure that your community leaders can speak to this far better than I. It's a well thought out process that they have in place, and infrastructure is important in the development of any community. We see the rapid increase of the wine industry. Organizations like ourselves and others around the lake that have decided to come in here and help develop the lake. So you have to have an infrastructure to support that, of course. But a very, very important part of this infrastructure is you have to have people here. You have to have adequate staff to operate these businesses. You have to have adequate staff to develop and support the infrastructure that we're talking about. And that comes down to people. There's only about 60,000 people in Lake County. So it's a very small labor pool to draw from initially. Much of it is unskilled. Our approach to the process is just going in-house, not speaking for the community at large, but for our purposes, we have a philosophy of each one teach one. So there's a lot of unskilled people here that would like to learn the trade, but there's a lack of opportunity. So we'll pair them with a carpenter, or we'll pair them with an electrician, or one of the other building trades folks, and we give them the opportunity to grow and learn a trade. That will be beneficial to us later on. We will need in-house support services for that once the building is done. And it provides a solid work base for the community. I think that training people, investing in the people that will be working for us and they'll be working throughout the community is, it's a very, very important aspect of what we're doing here. So building the infrastructure is important, of course, transportation, communication, but helping to develop the labor force as well. It's really paramount I feel it's paramount to the development of the entire community. My initial experience with coming to Lake County was back in the 90s when I came here to concerts, and one of the first things that I noticed was how difficult it is to get here. It was was a very long, windy road. Wasn't really familiar with the area, and other people have had those challenges too. We want to draw people up here, and in order to do that, folks don't really want to drive for 2.5 hours or for 2 hours to come up to go wine tasting or enjoy an event and have to turn around and drive for another 2 hours to get home. Getting people here is important, having viable roads. Now, the upside to having no roads is I really think that had we had a main highway coming to Lake County 20 or 30 years ago, this place would have been built up like Lake Tahoe very, very long ago. And though we can't do anything about the roads, we are working ourselves on getting people here, expediting the transport process. One of the ways we intend to do that is to fly people in. So the owners of the resort are also owners of their own airport down in Marin County, and the plan is to fly people up here by float plane. Now, that's not to say that we're going to bring up a plane with 100 people in it, but it's a 20-minute flight from San Rafael to Kelseyville, right in front of the resort. It's about a 20-minute flight. So to continually bring people back and forth, we're actively pursuing that. And the development of our own dock system out front, we developed an entire new marina scheme. Part of that scheme is a very large landing, a dock area for float planes that will come up from San Rafael, and or Sacramento, Redding, other areas as well. But getting people to here, getting people to come here initially. I think once they come here and they see the place, it's definitely worth the drive. From the day that we purchased the property, we've got amazing responses from people. Hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands at this point, of emails thanking us for opening the resort back up again. People have fond memories here. Many people came here as kids with their families, and now they bring their kids and their grandkids, many of whom, folks in their 60s and 70s, talk about how they used to work here when they were a kid at the marina or in the restaurant. And they express thanks for that. Something that I always try to make clear to people is that we're not the saviors of Lake County. We didn't come here to do that. I think the wine industry and the development of other business around will take care of itself. We're merely a part of a bigger picture. It's important to us that we play our role in that. We love this area. We see the potential here. Other investors come up, other people come up, they see the potential too. But we're a small piece in a much larger plan for Lake County that eventually is going to unfold. There's no question about it. The beauty of the environment, the financial opportunity, the cost of living here, the cost of housing here, it's significantly less than the Bay Area. And people are leaving the Bay Area. Many of them come here. I can recall a phone conversation I had with a gentleman. I didn't know that he was from San Rafael, but he said, I understand you guys bought the resort, you're developing it, I'm thinking about moving up there. And I had a relatively lengthy conversation with him, and I said, where are you from? And he said, San Rafael, and it turns out he was 2 streets away from me. He was a neighbor. I found that interesting. But people are beginning to come up to Lake County because they see the potential, they see the beauty, they see the opportunity, and it's really starting to, a lot of the old rumors about Lake County or Clear Lake are really beginning to be dispelled. We have great community leadership here. We have very sincere people. And again, there's just amazing opportunity here and a truly beautiful environment.
Thank you. That's very, very much appreciate your time today, and very much appreciate your development of this property, and I know that the community at large is really looking forward to having you. So just want to thank you for your time today, and thank you for all your efforts here in Lake County.
It's a privilege.
Pleasure.